All right. So we are talking about the urbanism, living towards the new paradigm. So before we started that, we need to understand first what the people think about, how the people think about the city. So next, please. So city, what is the city? City is a collection of building. Yeah, it's the space in between, and then also the infrastructure. Yeah, and then also industry will support the city. People will move from one place to the other place. So that is city actually. So the big city is become a trend since the industrialism, what's happened in the last 18th century, 20th centuries in Europe. So it's become also moving to Asia. Next. We know that the city development of the city is always always based on the economic factor. So people will come to certain area based on the economic. So that's why we have to see also what's happened with Jakarta or Jakarta in Indonesia. Okay, next. Next, please. As you see, can we come back? Okay, as you see, from the year 100 until 1500 after Christ, there are a lot of movement around the world because of the trades. So people also come to Batavia or to Indonesia at the time because of the spice. So at the time, Europe has 4 seasons, right? So they have winters and they need something to warm their up. So that's why they came to Indonesia or to Batavia to find the spice. Next. Next, please. So we know that the first the Portuguese, I think it's a bit lag. Can we come back? Yeah, first is the Portuguese arrived in Jakarta or in Batavia in 1915-12. So they want to find the spices, but they go directly, and then after that to go to Moluccan because they have a fight in Batavia, so they cannot stay over in Batavia. Next. So in the year 1610 until 1619, the VOC or the Dutch come to Batavia, and then they make a good relation with the local people. So and then they started to get the spices from the local people. So that's why they built up a city there by the north of Java Island. Batavia, why they choose in that area, it was actually an area where there is a lot of there's 13 rivers in this area, so there is always a flooding area. The Dutch cannot go to the better area because all the small kingdom have a better places, a better land. So that's why the Dutch cannot choose a better land to make a city. They have to choose area which is being left which is in this area, in Batavia area. So the Dutch making a new city with the walls. So they surrounded the city with the walls. So it started then, after this happened, it started become a trade city. So people all around the world coming, all especially from the Asia, also coming to the Batavia to try to do the trade. So people from China, or people from Arabs, and people from all Southeast Asia. So that's why what we say here, the city is starting when there is something economy there. Otherwise, there is no attraction. People trying to make money. So, but because of the Dutch regulation at the time, only the Dutch people can stay in the city, so which is inside the walls. So that's why all the immigrant has to stay outside the walls. So it's become also a new trade area, like dogs and so on. So they are outside the walls. So, and then the Dutch also making canals and so on, because they learn from the city, from Amsterdam. So when they plan to make Batavia, Batavia is like a typical Dutch city. So the Dutch making the Amsterdam likes into the Batavia. They mix all the canals and so on, because they want to ship or to bring all the spices very easily from one place to the other places. Next. Because it's growing so fast, the trades and so on, and then a lot of canal. And as I said before, Batavia is not area which is a good land. This is an area where a lot of floods coming, because in Batavia there are 13 rivers coming in this area. So with the all the canals, and also a lot of people coming there, so it means city is growing. When city is growing, they have a lot of problem also, of course, regarding sanitation and so on. So it's become a new pandemic. They call it malaria. As you know, malaria is from the word mal area. So it means this area is become not function anymore. So that's why the Dutch, when the Daimlers come to Indonesia, to Batavia, they move the city from north of Batavia to the southern. So they call it the Weltervreden. So they have to move the city. So because this old city Batavia has this a lot of problem with malaria. So when they move the capital into the southern part of Batavia, of course, it will also become a new residential area, like Menteng and so on. So they move everything also to the southern, because southern of the Batavia is a higher land. So they want to avoid the flood area. So because of that, also the new center of economy coming, like pasar, the market, like Senen or Tanah Abang market and Jatinegara. So this will support the trades also. It means Batavia become again an attractive from all people from all around the world. Next. Now I jump into the independence time. After the independence in 1945, yeah, in 1949, Indonesia capital city returned to Jakarta. So it was moving from Jakarta to Yogyakarta, and then coming back again in Jakarta to Jakarta in 1949. So our first president Sukarno gave the instruction to make Jakarta become the capital. Capital means also like a commercial area, like the central government and a business district, also entertainment center. So Jakarta as the capital city developed, become one of the big city in Indonesia. So it become a magnet from all Indonesia. Next. Next. As you see that from all area in Indonesia, they all want to come to Jakarta. there's a big urbanization to Jakarta from 1950 to 1970. So people all around, because Jakarta is so attractive, because all the economy is always growing and happen there. Not only that, also the government area, the arts and the business is there. Next. So Jakarta trying to become a modern city. The President Sukarno built up also another axis between north and south. So this is the axis is we call it the Sudirman Tamrin and Sudirman Road. So this is the access from the north into the south. Because when the city already growing, Sukarno also give an instruction to make another satellite city, which is Kebayoran. So to connect between Weltervreden into the Kebayoran area, they have to make this axis. So this axis become also the main road of Jakarta. And also President Sukarno prepared to have this Asian Games, the first time Asian Games in Jakarta. So that's why he wants to show off to the world that Jakarta is become a modern city. So axis in Merdeka and Tamrin Sudirman become the most important road in Jakarta. Everything has to be built there, and then a lot of monuments also become coming there. So Jakarta become an economic and a government city. Next. You can see these four pictures in the 60s, 70s, and the 70s. In the 60s, you see that Jakarta have this already the main axis, Sudirman and Tamrin road from the north and to the south. So you see this is the Hotel Indonesia, the picture on the top left. You see there is the first high-rise hotel in Indonesia, the Hotel Indonesia. They call it Hotel Indonesia. Now it's Hotel Indonesia Kempinski. So this is the first international hotel being built in Jakarta. And then next to them, on the right side, you see there is a tower. This is the first high-rise building in Jakarta, or in Indonesia, we call it Wisma Nusantara. You can see in the 60s, Jakarta is a very flat. So it means Jakarta is actually a big village. So people coming from the village and then make a new village all around the Jakarta. Jakarta is not a city yet, actually. There is a big village. Only a certain area, only in this axis, there are a lot of, there are new buildings coming. But the rest is very low-rise buildings. And you see also in the pictures on the left below, this is the Glodok area where also the commercial, the trades area in the northern of Jakarta near the Batavia still exists until now. Next. So because of Jakarta is become like a big village, our President Sukarno give an instruction to our governor, Jakarta governor, Mr. Ali Sadikin, to make this village become better. So that's why they call it the MHT project, Muhammad Husni Tamrin project. So what they make is to make the roads and bridges, lighting, irrigation, social welfare facilities, wells, trash can, and healthy housing. So they want to make this village become a better village, because otherwise this become a big problem for the big cities. Next. And then in the 80s and 90s, we know that in the 70s, Indonesia is one of the oil producer. So because of that, we have a lot of income. The price of oil going very high. So in the 70s and 80s, Indonesia, one of the OPEC country, earned a lot of money. So it means the income is become very high. So the government trying to build to modernize the Jakarta city. Jakarta become everything. Everything is only for Jakarta at the time, you know. So that's why Jakarta become also a very, very big magnet since the 17th century. So people now is also around the world, around Indonesia capital trying to come to Jakarta, because what's happened in Jakarta, all the money is in Jakarta. So people trying to make more money in Jakarta, and Jakarta at the time also needs a lot of people to build up the economy. Next. And of course, because Jakarta, you can see Jakarta has become a big city, a big population. As you can see, with the big city, is also happening a lot of problem, because the growth is very fast. So Jakarta itself, like I said before, was like a big village. So they are not ready to have a lot of people coming of a sudden. So they are also the government itself has not ready yet to have like a communal area or like public housing and so on. So they become a lot of slums area. Of course, the land price become very high, and then people cannot afford to buy house and so on, especially when they come from the other small city around surrounding Indonesia. So they sell their rice field and so on to come to Jakarta to try to get a job. So because the Jakarta become already a big city, everything is become very, very expensive. Living cost is very high. So people cannot afford always have a good life. So that's why slum area become everywhere also. So they're trying to live in the area where in the green area or in the public area or by the river and so on. Next. Next. Because of this, also traffic become very, very bad in Jakarta. I think it's same like Bangkok also before, because industrialization become very high. People buying cars, and then people can feel the money. So most of the people have earned the money in Jakarta, and they buy cars because it was like a modern life. And as we know that flood is always here in Jakarta, because Jakarta is always like a basin, like a lower level area where a lot of river, there are 13 river coming in this area. So that's why flood is always a problem in Jakarta. But because of Jakarta growing with all more people coming, so flood is become like a yearly problem. Why? The canalization and so on is not being proper planned. So growth is become too fast. So people, the government doesn't have the right plan to taking care of this growing where the growth very fast. Next. You see, this is how the Jakarta. So what's happened? Yeah. So government trying to make a transmigration. They're trying to make a decentralization, and then they build up a new city. So government of Jakarta speaking a lot to the new developers and so on to build a new city. Like in the past, you know, when they built Walter Freden and they make Menteng area as a new residential. And then when Menteng become central of Jakarta, so Jakarta is growing, they make a Bayoran as a satellite city. Now government Jakarta also become very big. So government trying to make another satellite city around Jakarta. So it's become like in BSD or in Lipo Karawaci or in Bekasi and so on. So they're trying to make this satellite city. They're trying to move the density in the central Jakarta into the outskirts. But the problem, all the important buildings or the important economic building is still in the middle of Jakarta. So it means even though this city growing to the outskirts, people still are moving towards the center of Jakarta because they are all the offices and the important buildings are still in the center of Jakarta. Next. So to solve this problem, to solve this problem, Jakarta government trying to make this public housing. In 1980s, 81 already in the Tanah Abang area. Why is Tanah Abang area? Tanah Abang is near the CBD area. They make this public housing because not only the the white collar who will live in Jakarta, we need also Jakarta to support this. They need also people from the blue colors. So that's why, like people who clean the garbage, to clean the offices, to manage the garden and everything, or the street vendor. So these people needs housing. Instead, in the slums area, the government trying to build this public housing. Because this is in the middle of the city, so the land price is already very high. So government trying to sell this public housing in the lower price. But the problem, there are again people who has the money buy this public housing. So actually, the plan of the government for the lower income doesn't work well, because this become a private apartment. So people who are working in the office and so on buying these places, and they stay there. So the target of the government to make a public housing was not successful. So and then in the 1994, there's also in Pejompongan area. This is outskirts of the CBD area. So they move a little bit outside also to make this again a public housing. And trying to have, but this is also, the people in Jakarta trying to make profit, because this is a still strategic area. As we know, a city needs that kind of public housing also in the middle of the city. But there are a lot of speculant who has the money buying that kind of public housing, and they rent it out to the workers or to the people who works in the office. As you know that in Tanah Abang or in the Pejompongan, there are quite a big area. So the government built for around 800 until 1,000 units. So it means actually for the lower income, but it doesn't happen. And then only in 2015 in the Rawa Bebek, the government trying to move outside the Jakarta, where there is also near the industrial area and so on. Why? Because in 2015, the transportation in Jakarta is become better. So that's why government thinking, even though the public houses outside Jakarta, they can still move easily, not with their own transportation, but with public transportation to Jakarta. But not only because of that, government also planning to move the central of activity, not only to the center of Jakarta, but also into the outskirts of Jakarta. Next. So in year 2016 and 2017, before that, in the 80s, we know that government trying to make the public housing first, because this is what we need Jakarta at the time. But we don't care about the healthy or well-being of the people. Only in the year 2016, 2017, the Jakarta government trying to make like a public area, public space for the children, for the area, because Jakarta is become so dense, so they need this kind of thing. So they clean up a slums area, and they make this become public spaces for the people, which is it changed the meaning, or it changed the behavior of the people of Jakarta. In the past, people thinking when they have kind of spaces, they will occupy this and then make their own housing there. But now they realize that they need also public spaces to release their stress and so on. So that's why these new public spaces become very popular, and people love to have this. Next. Next. Yes, this is the character of a comfortable city. Of course, we want to have access, easy access, you know. So government already making this transportation, yeah. And then technology is also become very important. People using because we cannot stop the technology. Technology always develop by itself. So Jakarta become also connected to all around the world. So everything is become very important. But Jakarta still the big magnet for the all Indonesian. So people really wants to come to Jakarta because the most important is always happening in Jakarta. Not only economy but also culture and the government. But the most important, actually, people come to Jakarta because of the economy magnet. Next. Next, please. Yeah. And then, of course, the infrastructure and good management become very important, right? And then the population, yeah, because we trying to move out to the outskirts also. And then because of the better situation, of course, the crime rate is also become lower. Next, yeah. So this is what we have, what the government already did. They make the bigger pedestrian. So now city become a people oriented. You know, so the last 10 years, Jakarta changed a lot. Government trying to make Jakarta become people oriented. So they changed all the pedestrian, and then they make a better public transportation. So and then Jakarta growing. Also, as you know, satellite city is also growing everywhere. But the problem is the satellite city is not become an independent city, but it's become integrated into Jakarta. So actually, Jakarta city is become bigger and bigger. You know, I have some notes. You know, like in 1945, after the independence, Jakarta have 600,000 people. You know, 600,000. In 1950, it's become 1.6 million. So it's already in 5 years, it's more than double. And then in 1960, it's become 2.9 million. It's almost 3 million. So 5 times from the independence. It's growing and growing until in 2000, it's become 8.3 million. And now Jakarta has 10.5 million. But 10.5 million is the Jakarta citizen, but actually during the day there's around 18 million in Jakarta. So there are 8 million people coming from surrounding Jakarta to come to Jakarta. So can you imagine how crowded this city become? Next. Yeah, this is all. This is some of my project. What I'm trying to make is actually before the government make these public spaces, I suggest to the government that all the government buildings, all the government properties become public spaces because it's belong to government, and then this is responsibility of the government to give a place for the public. This is the museum, National Gallery of Jakarta. Next. Next, please. Yeah. So at the time it was we planned to refurbish the National Gallery, and we want to make a lot of public spaces this. So because Jakarta become a very stressful city, so people needs to have public spaces to release their stress and to bring them become more calm. Because when the balance of the relaxing, then the crime of the city also become less. Next. Yeah, same. Next. Okay, so after we all have these dreams, actually trying to get better with the Jakarta city, suddenly is pandemic coming. So people become this is become a part of life, right? So when the pandemic coming, suddenly the definition of a comfort living and working is changing. Suddenly we all has to work from home. Suddenly we can work from everywhere, right? And then because of the growing technology also, in the beginning people doesn't believe that they can work from home, because there are still a lot of businesses where they need you to be there personally. But that is changed because of the pandemic. Suddenly you realize that you can manage everything through technology. You don't have to be there. So everything is the phenomena of the thinking of the being there in the city is totally changed. Yeah, next. And during the pandemic, the property prices in Jakarta is falling down. People move out from Jakarta. People are thinking because it's become a crisis of economy because of the pandemic. People doesn't know it's the pandemic disturb all the economy almost in every sectors. But actually, the property market outside Jakarta is growing because people suddenly realize they need all this beauty, nature, and so on. And then they know and they realize they can work from everywhere. And the most important for them actually, or for the offices, how to deliver the works. So they don't have to be there anymore. So the quality of life is become very important. Next. After the pandemic, people start to shifting the concept of urban living from big and crowded metropolitan to more humanized and living close to the nature. So that is the new paradigm. There is the new concept of living. Next. Creating a city that has good living space quality, but the need for existing facilities in the city center can still be achieved. So a new city is growing, a new city is coming. Yeah. So this is the challenge: how to creating a city, yeah, to have the quality of life, yeah, but the need for the existing facilities in the city center can still be achieved. So because of the technology, because of the new transportation, everything is changed. Now people doesn't have to be personally be there. You know, you can solve all the problem to the technology. And also the transportation change. You can still live somewhere else, but the distance is not based on the kilometer, but the distance based on the how long you need to be to reach a certain place. Next. Luckily, the 7 or 10 years before the pandemic, the Indonesian government making or develop in a lot of into infrastructure. So they build a lot of toll roads, they build a lot of airports, they build a lot of train, even fast train and so on, and port. So that is the good things what is happening in Indonesia actually. So when it's pandemic coming, actually then people thinking, okay, I can still live somewhere else, you know, or even some of my staff living in Tegal or in Central Java, but they can connect it through Zoom with me. Or if they need to come to Jakarta, and they can come once a week or once a month. So they don't have to be in Jakarta anymore. A lot of other architects also, they are moving back to their city. They live quietly and nicely there, but they still work. The project is still in Jakarta. We can solve all this problem through technology. A lot of like webinar like this or Zoom and so on. So that's why the concept of living is changing. People now realize they don't have to be always in Jakarta. So when in the past, economy is become the magnet of people to come to the city, now it suddenly is changed. Economy can be everywhere. Jakarta is not the most important anymore. You know, you can do everywhere. You can do in your own city, in your village, and that's why also the economy will grow there also. So that's why this is the new paradigm what will happen in country like Indonesia. Next. Next. Yes. Yeah. You no need for an office. No need an office anymore. Yeah. Technology is so easily nowadays. What you need is there only a good Wi-Fi, and then you can starting everything. Yeah. You can share your works. You can share your opinion. Yeah, even now we can make this international seminar through maybe through technology. Next. A lot of architect also plan a new small city outside Jakarta. You know, like this is Tubaba in near in Lampung, and then a lot of government also mayor and so on, or governor trying to attract young architects to make to plan new cities, you know, maybe starting with 100 hectares and so on, but because they want to develop their area, and because of the central government already making this transportation, so connecting from one area to the other area is become very easy. But not only that, the most important is the technology can help or can solve all this problem. Next. Even the central government trying to move the capital of Indonesia into new city in East Kalimantan. So Jakarta soon will not become a capital of Indonesia anymore. So this is the way of new living. And Kalimantan is an area where the tropical forest is there. So for the new people or the new generation, living out there, not in Jakarta, is already is possible. In the past, it's not possible, but now it's possible. So people looking for a better quality of life. Next. So this is one of our project. Also, we make also a satellite city. This is in near Palembang. So all this kind of city is will be growing everywhere. Next. Yeah. Next. So the quality of living become very important. Greenery is become very important. Outdoor living is become very important. Well-being, the health, well-being, mind well-being is become very important. Next. Yeah. Next. So nature is part of a new trend of living. Next. As you know, Jakarta or Indonesia is a tropical country. Actually, we have a quite high humidity, and also high temperature. But after this pandemic, everything is become changed. Outdoor living is become very important. Outdoor living is become a trend. People love to be outdoor. Somehow people can adjust themselves with this temperature or this new habit. Next. Because people are afraid to be in the closed room now, so they prefer to be outdoor. Next. Okay, next. Yeah. And then like this is Jakarta Green Belt. This is my concept that I make already I think quite long ago. I forget how long is this, more than 10 years ago. And this program I was presented in Berlin last time for the about urban planning. So at the time I already put all this green living into the concept of the modern city. Next. Yeah, like I make a skirt like a ring of Jakarta, and then making the many levels, where the top level is the living and the greeneries. So, and then without any traffic. So below that is the public transportation and so on. So, and then the cars is just the below one, the on the bottom one. So through this program, actually, I want to make how city can be very modern, but a lot of outdoor, a lot of greenery, and technology is already there. So it was 10 years ago. Now is because of the pandemic, people suddenly realize this is what they already what they need actually. Next. Next. Next, please. Yeah. So as you can see on the bottom, still they can farm, do farming and so on. So because I want to make the farming also into the big city. So if we stay in the big city, it doesn't mean that there is no farming there. So that's why we make in the multi layers. By doing this, actually I want to reduce the footprint of transportation that we have to bring from one city to the other city. Next. Yeah. Next. So as you see, there is a connecting between all this layer through fort and so on. This is the top city where there is only pedestrian. So there are 150-kilometer long rings, and then I think is around 200-meter wide. So all these greeneries to make a better living for Jakarta. Next. Yeah. Next. This is another project also that I make for Jakarta. This is in the vertical way. Next. Also how I implement all the greeneries into in the vertical way. Next. Yeah, next. Go ahead. Go ahead. Next. Yeah, this is the kind of what you call it, to make a new area outside of in the north part of Jakarta, reclamation. So I don't want to make a real reclamation, but I want to make like in the vertical way of reclamation with all these greeneries, because I don't want to ruin the living in the underwater living there. Next. Next, please. So, what's happened in 2060? As you know, the people will move from the big cities. People we go to the more to the rural area. Rural area is become not rural area, is actually outside of the big city. So quality of life become very important because now people realize through technology people can still earn money everywhere. They don't have to be in the city to get a job. They can be somewhere else, and they can deliver the jobs through the technology, and in the meanwhile they can enjoy the living and have a better quality of life. So urban planning will connect with technology, and then environment friendly living, and then also more humanized with less of the mega structure. So the future of the city, the important is the connectivity with the nature and the green open space emerge the idea for a new urban living that is more sustainable, healthy, and humanized, while still coherent with the technology where distance is not a problem anymore. Thank you so much.
I have by myself one question. We saw now some interesting concepts at your presentation, but to what extent do these also ask for affordable housing for the people? Is it how is the management? Because you told us also about then slums in Jakarta. What do you think the future of housing in this housing?
There is a lot of of course, Jakarta will not become empty. Jakarta will still there, but actually this is a big question mark also. Not and maybe the public housing is still there because people still need housing, but the question is actually the offices. The offices building become empty now because people doesn't work in the office anymore. People work from home, so that's why we are planning. We with some other people, I'm making like a program to make like the office building become urban farming. So we're trying to change it. As you know that people working only 50% in the office, so the rest is work from home. What's happened with the rest of the area? You know, so you rent it out. Nobody won't rent it out because everybody has this space. So that's why we are trying to make like an urban farming. So in the building, the office building, we change become an urban farming. Through this urban farming, it means we need less transportation to bring like vegetables, you know, or you know, something like fruits and so on. So because Jakarta can produce itself, until now Jakarta needs this support of these vegetables and everything from outside Jakarta, like from Bogor or Puncak or Bandung or Sukabumi. But maybe the next few years, Jakarta can support themselves. So this is in other way. This is also like a positive things happen through this pandemic. So Jakarta become become also independent. The good things in Indonesia, because we still have a lot of land area, right, outside Jakarta. Even though Java is already very very crowded, because of this, if this new happening, people realize that you don't have to be in Java, you don't have to be in Jakarta. Like this new Tumbaba city, this is in Lampung, this is in south of Sumatra, so people can be there. Yeah, sorry, maybe
I think everything is going to still the same after pandemic, because I can remember months ago, after everybody thought the pandemic is going to be better, they ask also the employer to come back to the office and sit in the office. Yeah, I can remember in Vienna was like that in September, in October, and then this situation was changed, so the people go again home and worked at home.
Yes, that's right. When the pandemic started,
everybody want to control the employer to see what they do.
People thinking that it will not take so long, this pandemic, only for a few months, right? People think in August, September, October, everything will become normal again. People will coming back again to the big cities, to the office, and so on. But this pandemic is still going on, and then all the business people has to think, to change their mind, that you cannot just asking people to come, but the most important actually that they deliver their work. So even though they are not there, for me it's also in the beginning, for me it's very difficult to explain to my team through Zoom or computer and so on. But then you get used to, and then of course the technology is become also more developed, better and better, right? So, and then you can share a lot of things now through internet. So what is the use to have these people in the office anymore, as long as they deliver? And then also even my meeting with my clients, I do also through Zoom. Sometimes even my client asks to meet physically. Even there, and then I feel like, oh my God, why should I meet them physically? Why don't we do through Zoom? Because we are all very comfortable. Because through Zoom, actually we can manage more works. Like you see, Jakarta has a traffic problem. Through this, people needs a lot of times to go from one place to the others. But now with the Zoom, I can do 5 meetings in a day, because after one meeting I can jump to immediately to another meeting. So actually it's more effective. Asia people likes to work also. So it means for certain people, actually through this pandemic they work even more, because they have this accessibility to around the world anytime. So they can work even more, but they can enjoy in certain time, when maybe in the past they work 6 or 7 days a week. Now, in 5 days a week they can work very hard, even longer than 12 hours a day, but then they can have a rest after that in the weekends, or in the middle of the day of the week they can go somewhere else. So people can go from Jakarta, they fly to Bali and then stay 2 months in Bali, and they work from the beside of the swimming pool.
Oke, selamat malam Pak Cosmas.
Oh, selamat malam.
Salam kenal. Actually, I'm from Indonesia. Nice to see you. Selamat salam kenal sebelumnya.
Yes. Yeah, I thought you are from somewhere else, but you are Indonesian. Okay.
Yes. Okay. And then to see you again, Professor Nariman. Meet for months ago from the lecture. Great, interesting lecture tonight in Indonesia, and I got some insight from you, Pak Cosmas, about the points about the paradigm shifting paradigms, and I got 3 questions maybe. If you want, I will share the question. The first is the new paradigms. I just joined a few weeks ago public lecture from Ian Gehel, the urban designer from Europe. Yes, with Ian Gehel from the country, and he said that the pandemic is just temporary. We got experience in some pandemic, and people just hide when the pandemic happen, and then when it's over, people come back to the real life. People come back to the common life. They meet with other in life way, and the normal life back, and the normal life back, and it's just temporary when we need no more of this, just temporary. But if everything's going normal, it's just go back and people will meet again in normal way. And I think that's some people that doesn't like online meeting. Maybe some people way prefer to use or get the live connection, live interaction with some people. So what do you think about that? Just in temporary way, I just got from the a few lecture from the Ian Gale. That's the first question. And then the second is who is the target of this housing concept that you have been shared before about content city, and then the maybe like some perumahan, or we can call it perumahan, the housing for medium to high income society, I think. And how the slum, how the low income society, how low income people to afford it. I think that they will be hard to afford those concept of public housing that you have been shared before. That's the second. And the third is uh, what is the concept of the new city that you have been shared? You share the great concept of the mega structure, use high beam structure, and the leveling zone, and then the zoning concept. And I think that does it seem to utopian? Does it seem to utopian way? We need to need more cost or budget to build that, and how it come to reality in few years later, or the next 10 years later. That is my question. Thank you, Pak Cosmas.
Thank you, Ruhul. Okay. First, people coming back, maybe part of them, but not everyone, because people are already comfortable, and this is, the pandemic is not only for 2 or 3 months. The pandemic now is over a year already, and then we don't know if they are still there. It will be finished soon. Probably it's another 1 year or 2 years here in Asia, especially in the country which is a lot of people living, right? So these things is become after a few years, 2 or 3 years, if we have this habit, it's not easy to change the habit back. People will continue. Yeah, this is always like that. If you starting to eat rice, you will continue to eat rice. You will not suddenly coming back to the potatoes, for example. So this what happened with all happening in the world. When the influence, when the tuberculosis, TBC coming in the world, a certain architect like Alpha, Alto, and so on, changing the kind of architecture, which is, facing the morning sun with a big terrace and so on. So after the TBC, tuberculosis, being handled, this kind of living doesn't change back. They realize that this is a better living, so that's why they will continue, right? When in the beginning of the industrialization in the Europe, people are trying to make a big housing, fast housing. So that's why a lot of townhouses being built and so on, and then also the same slums area become there also. When there is industrialization, it's always slums area because it's growing very fast. So the slums area is there. So when the pest also coming into Vienna, everything is changed after that. So it means they're going to be better. This pandemic is always a lesson for people to learn something. So after they learn something and then they know that is a better way of living, they will not coming back. You know, maybe certain people will coming back, but not everyone will coming back. It will continues. The same happened like 9/11, September 9/11. What's happened after the Twin Towers in New York being attacking? So everywhere in the world, everywhere in the airport, you have to have the security checking. Even if you go to the hotel, you go to the malls, everything is security checking. But now, how many years is already over? People doesn't change this. They are still security checking everywhere until now. So it means people know this because of something happened. People change their style of life, and then when they change it, then realize it's become better. So when it's become better, they will adopt it as a new way of life. Okay. So regarding my concept for the housing, for the low income people and so on, yes, I always keep telling or teaching my students, you know, how to reorganize the housing for the low income. All these village or kampung, right? They have to make people to work together to change it. You know, we cannot always asking the government to give to the people, but the people has to work together with the architect to change their life. The architect has to give the input how to change it. Like for example, you know, last year I make a program where the students has to make a program in their area, living area, you know, to make a public spaces, for example, public spaces, and then how they make the urban farming, you know, and this small alley, they can make a urban farming. This is the way of changing the life of these low income people. So it means that low income people can become more sustained. They can become produce even more, you know, like when the husband or the man has to work somewhere else, the wife doesn't mean that they stay at home and do nothing. They can do the urban farming, and then with the urban farming they can earn also something. So it means if they need vegetables, fruit, and so on, they don't have to buy from somewhere else, but even they can produce and they can sell to the other, they can sell to the middle up people. So it means a better income for these people again. So this is my concept of the for the low income people, you know. So I'm suggesting a lot of the young architects to go into this area and working together with these people to change their life, not only making these landmark buildings. So what I make the concept of the new city, this is what actually I planned before the COVID, before the pandemic. You know, it was 10 years ago, because everybody is rushing to Jakarta as a big city. People wants to become that. So that's why I'm thinking, if Jakarta becomes so attractive, and Jakarta should not growing into the outskirts anymore, but why don't we make Jakarta into leveling, you know, into certain layers where the quality of life, people can still live in Jakarta, but in the better living quality. You know, so that's why this is all the concept of the city that I make, because by the end we cannot go horizontal, we have to go vertical. The earth doesn't grow, the earth is always the same sizes, and the people growing. So if we go develop horizontally, it means we will taking a lot of the earth surfaces to live, which is this is not good, because one day we don't have enough. So that's why we need to go vertically. So that's then through this we can conserve the nature even more. Even if we do correctly vertically, we can add the greenery into the vertical way. Yeah, This is utopia. Yes, it is. But the challenge, I talked to the government, Indonesia, Jakarta government, to the Pak Fajrul also. What is the challenge? How we can live, make a big new capital in Kalimantan without ruining the forest? This is utopia. This is like a movie in Wakanda. Yes, it will happen. You know, it has to be like that. Technology can answer that. The most important, we live modern in the modern time without ruining the environment. That is the balance. That is the challenge for us as an architects. Yeah, like what I said, these public spaces and Petra, you know, it was a slum area. So the government moved these people to outskirts of Jakarta, give to this new public housing, and then making the area, the slum area before become a public spaces where people surrounding also, because you know most of these slum area, actually they are occupied the area illegally. So that's why because if this illegally, the government can move them to the area. So it doesn't mean that people just shoo them away, you know, or ask them just to leave that, but a government giving a better places, but not in that area because that area was illegal. So that's why they give public housing, which is become more illegal, and this slum area become a better area, become a greenery area, become a public spaces area.